Hi, it's Sally-Shakti, your visionary writing guide, and welcome to Tarot and Astrology for Visionary Writers from Monday the 23rd to Sunday the 29th of October 2023. I think I just want to start by saying hands up if you're not broken yet. Because if, like me, you're any kind of visionary writer or creative who watches these videos, you're probably also highly sensitive to what is happening in the world around you and the world inside you. These are really, really intense times that we're moving through, and especially this portal between the two eclipses. We had the Libra new moon eclipse just over a week ago, and we have the Taurus full moon eclipse coming up this week on Saturday, the 28th of October. Today we have the sun moving into Scorpio. And as I mentioned last week, we have really, really strong Pluto energies at this time. Pluto is now in more or less the final week of hovering over 27 degrees of Capricorn, where it's been for a long, long time. Next Monday on the 30th, I think, Pluto moves off of 27 degrees of Capricorn and will not return to that degree point for over 200 years. The intensity of this completion period as Pluto moves through and completes its time in the sign of Capricorn is something that we're all feeling. We now have Pluto as the ruler of the sun in Scorpio. Scorpio, the alchemist, the deep dive, the well of our own emotions, of our inner world, where we have to dive deep. We're invited to dive deep into death so that we can participate in our own alchemy of rebirth. Pluto, as the co-ruler of the sign of Scorpio, is strongly influencing the transiting sun moving through the zodiac and through the wheel of the year, bringing an intensity of death and destruction to the world around us and our own inner world, our ego world inside. To bring that alchemy of transformation and rebirth, to show us the depth of the darkness that we all carry inside us. And that is reflected in the outer world around us, so that we can dive deep into our own personal and collective healing. The moon and the sun both were in square, both squared Pluto with the last eclipse, the Libra new moon eclipse. And they're coming around to square Pluto on the other side with this week's Taurus full moon eclipse. So Pluto is strong, exerting a strong and powerful influence over our world and our lives, our inner and outer worlds at the moment, and experiencing tension from the sun and the moon that feels like tension in our own inner and outer worlds, the moon being our inner world and the sun being our outer persona, our outer projections to others. So Pluto is strong. Pluto is in aspects of tension with both our inner and outer worlds, and is exerting strong influence over the passage of the sun through Scorpio and both of these eclipses, which we are currently in the middle of that eclipse portal. The Taurus full moon eclipse will be happening at 5 degrees of Taurus, and I've spoken about this 5-degree Taurus point previously on previous videos, because that is the degree point at which Mercury stationed retrograde and then stationed direct, sorry, station retrograde, I guess, no, stationed direct. It's the degree point at which Mercury was retrograde earlier this year in the spring, and it's the same degree point at which Jupiter will be stationing direct on the 31st of December this year. So the degree points from 5 to 15 degrees of Taurus have been strongly activated, first by Mercury, then by Jupiter, and now by this Taurus full moon eclipse at 5 degrees. The Taurus full moon eclipse can be bringing us a gift. It can perhaps feel quite different from the Libra solar eclipse, the Libra new moon solar eclipse that we just experienced, because that eclipse was conjunct the South Node. It was supporting us to release karmic endings, karmic contracts, karmic patterning and conditioning that is no longer serving us as we move forward on our path of evolution. The full moon eclipse at 5 degrees of Taurus on Saturday, the 28th of October, will be offering us the gifts of self-love, self-worth, abundance, resourcefulness, practical action, next steps. But these may not become clear until early next year at the soonest, because we still have Jupiter retrograding back towards 5 degrees of Taurus, and Jupiter will station direct at 5 degrees of Taurus on the 31st of December this year. So on the very last day of 2023, we may begin to find the gifts and the momentum of this Taurus full moon lunar eclipse. We can plant seeds of intention in our journaling with this Taurus full moon eclipse to ignite the fire of what is coming for us in the year ahead, to reconnect with our own self-worth, self-love, self-value, our own inner resourcefulness, and our own ability to take practical steps and actions. And we may not feel the fruits of that until early next year, but we can sow the seeds of those intentions in our full moon journaling this week. We'll also have on Sunday the 29th, if you look into the night sky, the moon and Jupiter traveling close together. So the moon will be bringing that Jupiter energy back into our energy field, that expansion of possibility and potential. It can feel exciting and inspiring to move through this Taurus full moon eclipse, but we may yet find that the practical steps and the practical actions really begin to land in the early stages of 2024, as Jupiter will station direct at 5 degrees and move back across 5 to 15 degrees of Taurus again. for the last time before moving on and out of that shadow zone. So we're really in the alchemy this week, and perhaps for the whole of Scorpio season, but certainly this week as we head into our second eclipse, we're in the alchemy, we're in the crucible of our own melting pot, our own deep inner emotions, our own fears, rejection, abandonment, our own traumas, wounds, and stories, our own addictive behavior patterns. All of these are potentially very strong in Scorpio season, and leading up to this Taurus full moon eclipse, we can work with our journals to see more clearly what emotions have been lurking beneath the surface and have been held, suppressed beneath the surface of our lives for perhaps many years, many lifetimes, many generations. We can work with the mirror of our journal to see ourselves reflected back to ourselves with compassion and awareness and acceptance and acknowledgement. And as we put those words down on the page, as we meet ourselves, as we are there on the page, with compassion, without judgment, the more courage we can access of our own inner wisdom and inner truth, because we come to know ourselves in the fullest depths of who we are, including our shadows, our fears, our repressed emotions, our suppressed emotions, and not just the fears, but the desires. What are our deep desires? All of those fears and emotions and desires that have been suppressed and held below the surface, because through our cultural conditioning and through many lifetimes and generations, it has not been safe, or it has not felt safe, and it certainly has not been safe for us to feel and express and show and share those emotions, that emotional content that is deep in our personal and private inner well. The page can be our space for alchemy, where we can meet ourselves. I'm seeing an image of a deep, dark well, and the surface, the water's surface on the well is a reflective surface. It's like a mirror, particularly when the moon shines across it. And we can stand at the we can stand at the edge of that well, and we can look over and into the darkness, and we can see the moon reflected, the full moon reflected on that mirrored surface. And we can see ourselves as we truly are. All that has been hidden, all that has been suppressed, all that has been kept down to keep ourselves safe. The fear, the anger, the desire, the trauma, the intense emotions that we typically are not given space and permission to feel in our culture, in our society, for many lifetimes and many generations past. The grief, the hurt, the pain, it's all there beneath the surface. It's all there in the depth and darkness of our own inner well. And this full moon, this Taurus full moon, is moving across the surface to illuminate our shadows, our fears, our deep desires, what we have held beneath the surface and kept hidden because it has not been or has not felt safe for us to show and share and express those deep emotions, that truly move us and truly motivate us. When we are not able to see or acknowledge or recognize the emotions that drive us, that's when we get stuck in the narratives of conditioned behavior and unconscious behavior that drive us in repetitive loops to repeat the same behaviors and move through the same consequences over and over again. It's by shining the light, it's by looking into the moonlit, illuminated surface of that well of our own inner world that we can come face to face and meet ourselves as we truly are, with all that has been hidden. And when we work with journaling, when we work onto the page to express those emotions, it works both as a mirror and as a release. It's a site of alchemy where, as we put our emotions, our deep inner feelings down onto the page, we move them through our consciousness and become the witness to what has been hidden, what has been suppressed, what has not been conscious to our awareness. And if we can do that with compassion and without judgment, as the witness, then we can meet ourselves on the page as we have never known ourselves before and find the strength in our own depth that we didn't know that we had. We integrate those parts of ourselves that we had previously been rejecting. And there is true strength in that. There is true strength in witnessing our own deep emotion, our own deep inner world, and bringing that into clarity, bringing that into integrity, so that we can hold ourselves as we are, connected to the root at the bottom of our well, integrating our own shadow, moving with the strength and fearlessness and courage and confidence that that can bring. And as well as a mirror, it becomes the site for alchemy and expression and catharsis, because by moving those words, those feelings, those emotions, those stories, those repetitive beliefs and behaviors onto the page, time and time again, as many times as it takes, and to witness them with compassion in ourselves, we also release them, remove them from our bodies, express them from our energy fields, lessen the strength that they have over us, so that we come to know them and can recognize them in ourselves. And that's where our strength comes from. And at the same time, the intensity of the hold that they have had over us and our behaviors is lessened, because their frequency is moved out of our body, out of our energy field, and onto the page. This is the most foundational work that I do with journaling for myself and with others. And it's the most courageous to show up and meet ourselves on the page as we truly are, with compassion and wisdom, so that we can see ourselves in our shadow. We can move through what needs to be moved through and out of the body onto the page, and we can integrate the strength of that alchemy that we ourselves can practice with nothing more than a pen and some paper. This is deep, deep inner healing, and it's very ripe for this time as the sun now moves into Scorpio, and we have the opportunity and the invitation to witness ourselves illuminated by the Taurus full moon. We also have the moon and Saturn very close together in the night sky. So again, we'll be feeling the stronger influence of Saturn on our energy field, on our energy bodies these next couple of days. We will be reminded again, invited again to take responsibility for ourselves, to recognize our responsibilities, and to step into what we are responsible for. That will be strong the early part of this week. So those are the things that I really want to speak about in this week's video. It's a powerful, powerful time to come back to the page and to meet yourself in the mirror of your journal. And you can use that visualization of the well and the moon to illuminate the depths and the shadows as you witness yourself as you truly are. And so we have an opportunity to invite a card to support us this week as well. And that card is the Queen of Cups reversed. Just looks like a mess of black and white lines. That card is the Queen of Cups reversed. She is inviting us to feel. So as the sun is moving into Scorpio now, the Queen of Cups is inviting us to feel, to give space to our emotions, not to remain cut off from what we've been feeling, what we need to give ourselves permission to experience and to witness in our own emotional world, our own emotional body. I'm sure there is plenty coming up for all of us to feel at this time. And it is so strong in our cultural conditioning not to allow ourselves to be seen, to feel our emotions. But the only way that we can let them go and integrate them as our strength, as our true strength, is to allow ourselves to feel them. Emotions need to move. They need to move through our bodies, our energy fields, whether in relation to others, which is Scorpio, or in our own private journaling. We need opportunities to give ourselves permission to feel so that the emotions don't get stuck, so that they don't stay stuck down at the bottom of the well. Because when we feel them, we move them through, we witness them, we recognize them. Perhaps we are seen and witnessed by others or an other in our process. Perhaps we are seen and witnessed by ourselves in our journaling. It is the expressing of emotion and being witnessed in that vulnerability of our emotional expression. That's where the alchemy happens. That's where what had been our greatest fears, our greatest potential weaknesses, become our greatest allies and our greatest strengths. So that's our invitation for this week as we move now through early Scorpio season and towards the Taurus full moon lunar eclipse at 5 degrees of Taurus on Saturday, the 28th of October. I'm sending you love for your process, please come and join me on social media at Writing Thriving, or find your way onto my mailing list at writingthriving.com, because that's where you'll find the best ways that you can work with me and that we can work together through this deep portal and these deep practices that we're invited into. So I'm sending you much love. I look forward to seeing you, and thank you for being here.